The time is precisely 6:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News edited by Dulmin Samarasinghe and read by Chandima Veerakon. Headlines. The Foreign Minister says several discussions important to Sri Lanka took place during the President's and the Prime Minister's foreign tours. Doctors request the youth to get the vaccines without being misled by myths. The Egyptian ambassador commends Sri Lanka's vaccination process. The Parliament Select Committee discusses challenges faced by women engaged in agriculture. In news overseas, China's biggest air show highlights military prowess. In sports, sumo wrestling's greatest champion, Hakuho, retires. Local stories in detail. Foreign Minister G.L. Peiris says that several rounds of discussions important to Sri Lanka were conducted during the President's US tour and the Prime Minister's Italy tour. He said that a significant theme of discussions were the actions of the Human Rights Commission on Sri Lanka. During a media briefing today, the minister said that the government's stance was clearly explained to them. He said that the UN Human Rights Council was explained in detail about development and reconciliation amid the COVID challenge. Meanwhile, MP Sagar Karyavasam said the government's priority is to create a better country for future generations. However, he pointed out that certain communities and media are acting in a negative manner. He emphasized that the time has come to take the country forward positively. Professor Manja Veerasinghe of the Colombo Medical College has requested the youth to get the COVID vaccine without being misled by the myths publicized by the groups against vaccination with commercial aims. He said that there is no scientific basis on the statements that impotency and infertility occur due to the vaccines. Professor Veerasinghe pointed out that taking measures wisely without getting caught on such myths will protect the individuals as well as the country. Deaths of persons above 60 years have reduced due to vaccination. Professor Veerasinghe requested not to disrupt the vaccination program in order to protect the lives of youth. It has been possible to minimize many diseases globally due to vaccination. It has been confirmed that vaccination is the strongest and decisive factor to control communicable diseases. Meanwhile, Dr. Eranga Narangoda of Homagama COVID-19 Treatment Hospital said that vaccination has led to the decrease of corona patients and deaths due to the illness. He said that the 8 corona vaccines approved by the World Health Organization provide equal immunity. The Pfizer vaccine has been approved only for students between the ages of 12 and 18. Dr. Narangoda said persons above 18 years get equal immunity from any vaccine. Egyptian ambassador in Sri Lanka, Hussein Al-Shati, says that Sri Lanka is implementing the vaccination process successfully and speedily when compared with many developed countries. The ambassador mentioned this when he met Minister Keheliya Rambukwella at the Health Ministry this morning. Attention was paid during the meeting to implement a productive process on medicines through an MOU between the two countries. The Select Committee of Parliament to look into and report to Parliament its recommendations to ensure gender equity and equality with special emphasis on looking into gender-based discriminations and violations of women's rights in Sri Lanka held discussions with several parties on the challenges faced by women engaged in agriculture in Sri Lanka. The discussion on the challenges faced by women engaged in agriculture in Sri Lanka was held recently with the participation of many resource persons representing various sectors when they met with the Select Committee of Parliament. The parties pointed out that women in agriculture face problems in the 5 main areas of natural resources and land ownership, market access, access to financial services, new technology, and family-related care responsibilities. They further pointed out that women can actively contribute to the process of shaping and transforming the food system in Sri Lanka if some solution to these problems are found. Chairperson of the Select Committee State Minister Dr. Sudarshini Fernandopulle stated that there were issues common to the entire agricultural sector, and through this discussion it was possible to identify several issues that were specific to women. The State Minister also said that steps will be taken to inform the Minister of Finance to pay attention to these matters in the budget to be presented for the year 2022. Additional Secretary to the State Ministry of Primary Health Services, Dr. Lal Panapitia, says that certain COVID patients can show symptoms of nerve and heart diseases after recovering from the virus. He said such persons should immediately seek medical advice and seek treatment. He said that there is a reduction of oxygen use by the COVID patients in the country. Colombo District Secretary Pradeep Yasaratne says that 7,950 million rupees have been spent to provide welfare facilities for the people in the Colombo district affected by the pandemic. The 5,000 rupee allowance has been given on 4 occasions to people living in 13 divisional secretariat areas of the district. The 10,000 rupee food ration has been given to 80,370 families who were under quarantine. The district secretary said that 33,461 families who were isolated were given a sack of essential goods valuing 5,000 rupees weekly. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing with the local stories, the government says construction of 3,000 houses for middle-income earners have been commenced. Those houses are being built as the first phase of the 5,000 housing program that will be built for middle-income earners. 12 housing projects are being implemented at present. Construction of another 8,000 urban houses are taking place. State Minister Nalaka Godahewa recently looked into the progress of the housing scheme that is being built in Colombo. Meanwhile, the Urban Development Authority's project to make Colombo city a place without shanties is progressing successfully. To end the local news, the headlines again. The Foreign Minister says several discussions important to Sri Lanka took place during the President's and the Prime Minister's foreign tours. Doctors request the youth to get the vaccines without being misled by myths. The Egyptian ambassador commends Sri Lanka's vaccination process. The Parliament Select Committee discusses challenges faced by women engaged in agriculture. That ends local news.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Vidya Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vidya Mahatmya.
And on the main news story, another consignment of Pfizer vaccines has arrived in Sri Lanka early this morning. The consignment had arrived on a Qatar Airways flight at the Bandaranaike International Airport this morning. The stock of vaccines has been handed over to the National Blood Centre in Narahenpita. That ends the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vidya Mahatmya. Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
And now in Watchlight.
And on Watchlight, Minister Johnston Fernando said that the widened and developed 4-lane road from Pamankada Sri Sambuddha Jayanti Mawatha W.A. Silva Mawatha to Vellavatta on the Colombo-Horana Road is in the final stages of construction. He said that with the development of the road and construction of the Pamankada Bridge, vehicles that travelled one way until now will be able to travel in both directions across the Pamankada Sri Sambuddha Jayanti Mawatha. That ends Watchlight.
World News.
Headlines of the world news. China's biggest air show highlights military prowess. Japan says it will weigh the strain on healthcare systems before deciding to lift the coronavirus emergency. Indian farmers strike to press for repeal of laws. China's military will display some of its most advanced weaponry and equipment when the country's largest airshow gets underway this week. Airshow China opens in the southern city of Zhuhai tomorrow after a year-long delay as a result of the coronavirus pandemic. The state-run newspaper Global Times reported there would be dazzling flight performances involving the J-20, the Air Force's most advanced fighter jet. Japan's chief cabinet secretary says the government will weigh the strain on healthcare systems before deciding whether to lift the coronavirus state of emergency. Kato Katsunobu made the remark today as the government is considering lifting the emergency for all areas as scheduled on Thursday. The state of emergency is currently in place in Tokyo, Osaka, and 17 other prefectures. Hundreds of farmers in the Indian states of Punjab and Haryana have blocked roads as they re-energize their protest against contentious farm laws. Farmers who have been camping at Delhi's border since last November want a repeal of the laws. Several rounds of talks between farmer unions and the government have yielded no results. The government says the laws will increase farmers' income, but unions see them as unfair and exploitative. To end the world news, the headlines again. China's biggest airshow highlights military prowess. Japan says it will weigh the strain on healthcare systems before deciding to lift the coronavirus emergency. Indian farmers strike to press for repeal of laws. That ends the world news. Moving on to development news. A virtual conference titled People's Economic Forum 2021 will be organized by Sanasa International Private Limited on Wednesday. The goal of the forum is to contribute to refocusing the national development planning discourse of Sri Lanka to the potential of the cooperative sector. It will be an important milestone towards establishing a roadmap for the development of cooperative enterprises for more inclusive development in the country. That ends the development news.
Sports news.
And on sports news, it's wrestling, tennis and rugby. In wrestling, sumo wrestling's greatest champion, Hakuho, is set to retire after more than 1,000 wins. He rose to the top ranks of sumo wrestling after arriving in Japan from his native Mongolia at the age of 15. But the 36-year-old has been plagued by a persistent knee injury and received a warning for injury absences earlier this year. In tennis, four-time Grand Slam winner Naomi Osaka says she will return to tennis soon after getting the urge to play again. Osaka took a break from tennis earlier this month after her US Open title defense was ended by eventual runner-up Leylah Fernandez in round 3. The 23-year-old Japanese player previously missed this year's French Open and Wimbledon to focus on her health matters. And in news on rugby, Rugby Championship organisers and Rugby Australia have apologised to Argentina after the Pumas were left out of a team captain's photo shoot. Argentina coach Mario Ledesma said the side felt disrespected after photos of the Australia and New Zealand and South Africa captains were published. Rugby Australia and governing body Zanza said a late travel change meant Julian Montoya could not attend. That ends sports news.
A safe, easy and versatile app for all your banking needs. NSB Pay for monetary transactions, bill payments, reloads, credit card payments and Lanka QR transactions. A range of facilities with multiple account registrations. Access to your bank needs wherever you are. Download the NSB Pay app from the Play Store or the App Store for free now. For more information, call your nearest NSB branch or 0112 379 379. Conditions apply.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
On business news, EML Consultants Limited commenced trading on the Empower board of the Colombo Stock Exchange today. The company listed 90,900,000 ordinary voting shares and has been classified under the Industry Group 2020, Commercial and Professional Services. Commenting on the listing, the CEO of CSE, Mr. Rajiva Bandaranayaka, congratulated and welcomed the company to the Empower board. That ends business news.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
A safe, easy and versatile app for all your banking needs. NSB Pay for monetary transactions, bill payments, reloads, credit card payments and Lanka QR transactions. A range of facilities with multiple account registrations. Access to your bank needs wherever you are.
Economic news, courtesy of
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
And on economic news, Governor Central Bank Ajit Niwad Cabral said that an online event hosted by the Advocata Institute Sri Lanka will review the import ban of vehicles in December, while the temporary import restrictions on several goods would be relaxed gradually. He, however, said that the import ban of vehicles would not be relaxed 100%, as there would be a surge of imports and huge burden on the economy, but would be done in a phased-out systematic manner depending on ground situation during the time. That ends economic news.
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Weather report.
And finally, on the weather report, the Met Department says showers or thundershowers will occur at times in the western, Sabragamur, central and northwestern provinces and in Galle and Mathura districts. Fairly heavy showers above 50 millimeters can be expected at some places in Sabragamur province and in Kandy, Nuwara Eliya, Kalutara, Galle and Mathura districts. Showers or thundershowers may occur at a few places in Uva province in the evening or at night. And to end this bulletin of news, the headlines again. The Foreign Minister says several discussions important to Sri Lanka took place during the President's and the Prime Minister's foreign tours. Doctors request the youth to get the vaccines without being misled by myths. The Egyptian ambassador commends Sri Lanka's vaccination process. The Parliament Select Committee discusses challenges faced by women engaged in agriculture. In news overseas, China's biggest air show highlights military prowess. In sports, sumo wrestling's greatest champion, Hakuho, retires. With that, we conclude this bulletin of news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.